We've two new interesting products on the tvtrade.ie website designed specifically to counteract the problem of how to securely mount either a TV aerial or a satellite dish either on a Caravan or a mobile home. So the two brackets are basically an A-frame bracket which clamps onto the front tow bar of a satellite or of a Caravan here, or equally we have a jockey wheel bracket which we have pre-assembled that I'll just quickly show you over here. It's clamped onto the tow bar and we simply drop in a pole like this, lock it into position, okay? But this video here we're specifically going to deal with the A-frame bracket, which I have in front of me. Now it comes pre-packed in a single pack like this. The only tools that we need for this is a 10mm socket or ratchet, such as we have here, and possibly a hammer. And the reason we might need a hammer is if the Caravan was parked on, instead of concrete, if it was parked on grass, we might want to tap down the pole at the end of the exercise to secure it into position. But what I'm going to do now is come along, I'm going to show you this bracket here. This section here of the bracket is for holding the pole. Now the maximum diameter this pole can handle is a 1 inch, which is a little bit unfortunate because most poles I find that we use in the industry is 1.25 inches, but we do sell this as a kit on the TV Trade website with a 1 inch pole, okay? So how to fix it onto the tow bar at the front of a Caravan? Well, the first thing we do here is we just simply loosen off these nuts like this, and I'm just going to do most of the tightening on this by hand. So what I do is I actually clamp this over here, we angle it like this, if you can see it, we pull the nuts through and then we hold it in position like that. What we do is we slowly turn the nuts like this. And this is quite awkward in this position because there's actually a box in the front of this particular thing, but even then when there's a very limited space to work with, this will work quite well. So all we do is we continue to tighten the nuts by hand as far as we do. What we should be able to do is clamp this securely onto the basic frame. Now there's a lock nut there as well, which you can see here, which we will tighten down to lock this into position, okay? So if you can see that there. So we'll repeat the same for the second nut here. So it's a quite laborious process, but at the same time we should be able to complete the task in a matter of maybe 3 to 4 minutes. Locking it in, and for the final few turns we would normally use a socket, but obviously because of the restricted space here this may not be a great option for us. So what I'm going to use is simply the ring end of the 10mm spanners. So we'll just lock this in position on the first one. We'll repeat the process a number of times. Okay, so that's reasonably firmly linked there, and we'll obviously repeat the same with the second nut here and lock this down into position. So what we do then is we simply get the pole here and we lift the pole in the air, and if you want to come around and just take an angle shot of this here, we have the U-bolt here, we slide the pole into the U-bolt and we run it down, in this case just as far as the concrete pole. And now what we use is just the wing nuts. We don't need any except our hand on this, and we tighten it in. And we just simply lock that into position. Okay. Now, as you can see here, sometimes you can have a scenario where the pole is being securely located, but for an aerial or things like this, the line of sight means that we've poor reception on the aerial. Now, normally a pole like this will be sufficient, but what you can also do is we have a Shelly 8-nut clamp on the website as well. It's associated product of this particular thing. What we can do is we can actually tighten this product onto the pole here. And what we could do is we could put a second pole in here and clamp it into position, and it'll give us more height. And that's a valid option for an aerial, but I wouldn't advise it for a satellite dish because it's very sensitive. Even a degree of movement will cause the satellite dish to move out. But you can see anyway, it's a very viable option here. These are cheap, they're effective, and they're very flexible. You can attach it on. You can actually leave that in position when you're moving the Caravan from A to B. So from that position, from that perspective, it's you can tighten it into a final position, and then only tighten up the wing nuts when you need to put the pole. So it'll make the whole fitting process even simpler. But even when doing it from scratch, you can go from having no aerial to an aerial fully fitted in the space of probably 5 to 6 minutes. Okay, that's it from beginning to end. The A-frame Caravan bracket for mounting either a TV aerial or a satellite dish.